Roscoe White. White's son made headlines by claiming his father was one of 3 assassins firing at Kennedy and Dealey Plaza. At least some Dallas policemen must have been aware of the existence of this 3rd photo. Here is a detective recreating one of the backyard photos for the Warren Commission. We see that the pose used by the Dallas police to recreate the backyard photo in 1964 is the same pose of the 3rd picture, which has never been accounted for and was suppressed for nearly 15 years. Some months ago, I learned of yet another issue which raises more questions about the discovery of these photos. The issue of the origin of these photographs becomes even stranger when we consider the statements of Robert and Patricia Hester, who worked long hours at the National Photo Lab in Dallas the evening of the Kennedy assassination. They were processing film and photographs for the FBI and Secret Service. With me is Jim Mars, a news reporter in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for nearly 2 decades, and has taught a course on the assassination at the University of Texas at Arlington since the mid-1970s. Jim, you've spoken with both the Hesters, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, they're both dead now. I first interviewed Robert Hester in the late 1970s. He told me he saw the backyard photos in the hands of the FBI the night of the assassination. He was quite insistent on this fact. Of course, that's the day before the photos officially were discovered. In later years, his wife Pat confirmed this story and told me and other Texas researchers that the FBI even had a color transparency of one of the photos, as well as a picture of Oswald's backyard, but with no one in the picture. They were very certain about all this. It's very strange.
Thank you, Jim. We'll be talking with you more a little later. To add to the mystery, yet another version of the backyard picture of Oswald was discovered in 1967. This picture, similar to the one used on Life's cover, was found by Dallas oil geologist George de Mohrenschildt, who was described by the Warren Commission as Oswald's last known close friend. De Mohrenschildt discovered the picture among his stored possessions upon his return to the U.S. from a lengthy stay in Haiti. That was long after the assassination. This photo contains more background image on the outer edges of the picture than the original print police claim to have found. It also shows finer detail, evidence that this photo was made with a high-quality camera, not at all like Oswald's cheap Imperial reflex. While there's been no official explanation for this de Mohrenschildt photo, it's been assumed it's a copy of backyard photo 133A. Yet this could not be, since the detail of the de Mohrenschildt photo is so much better than 133A, and it contains more background than the original. It appears that the de Mohrenschildt photo itself is a composite picture made up of 133A and the border of the film plane aperture of Oswald's camera. To add to the mystery, the de Mohrenschildt photo has an inscription on the back, reading "Hunter of Fascist, ha ha ha." This odd inscription was first written lightly in pencil, then traced in ink. Handwriting experts have determined that the handwriting does not belong to Oswald or his wife or even George de Mohrenschildt. In a strange twist of fate, de Mohrenschildt, a Russian nobleman by birth, was close friends of Jackie Kennedy's parents and also of Oswald, the man accused of murdering her husband. The de Mohrenschildts have said they believe the photograph was planted in their possession to further fix the idea of Oswald's guilt in the public's mind.
Thanks a lot, Dan. I want to return to you in just a moment, but first, let's just go back a bit. In order to establish the real origin of those backyard photographs, we begin with the camera used to make them. This is an Imperial reflex camera. It's a poor quality camera, handheld, and normally you hold it at waist level and view scenes by looking down into the top viewfinder. Now, reportedly, this camera belonged to Lee Harvey Oswald, who by all accounts was quite interested in photography. Yet very few photos made with this camera were actually found after the assassination, other than those 2 incriminating backyard pictures. Now, this camera was allegedly discovered in the Payne home by Oswald's brother Robert on December the 8th, 1963. That was 2 weeks after the assassination. and after several intensive police searches of that home. When the FBI did get the camera in February of 1964, it wasn't working, and Marina was unable to identify it as belonging to her husband. Later, however, in 1964, apparently after being coached by government lawyers, Marina changed her story. She said it was, in fact, the camera used to make Oswald's picture. Now, Dan's standing by in Dallas to tell us the official version of just how those photographs were made. Dan?
Craig, it was here in the small backyard of this two-story frame house at 214 West Neely Street that the incriminating photos were supposedly made in the spring of 1963. The Warren Commission determined the Dallas office of the U.S. Weather Bureau reported that March 31st was cloudy with traces of rain all day. Marina's accounts of her picture-taking session here in the backyard changed several times while testifying to the Warren Commission. First, she couldn't recall taking any pictures. Then she remembered taking only one. Recalled by the Commission and shown both pictures, she agreeably stated that she may have taken two, but only two. Of course, it is now known that a third such photograph exists. According to Marina's testimony, the photo session only took a few minutes. Marina said about noon on that Sunday she was hanging out clothes when she saw Lee come downstairs from their apartment dressed all in black. He carried a rifle and was wearing a revolver on his hip. Marina laughed to see her husband dressed so outrageously. Lee didn't laugh. "Take my picture," he said. Marina begged off, saying she didn't know how to take a picture. Lee said he would set it all up and all she had to do was push a button. She reluctantly agreed, and Lee arranged the camera settings, handed the camera to Marina, and struck a pose. Click, one photo was made. Lee walked over and took the camera. He advanced the film and handed it back. Walking back, he struck yet another pose. Click, a second photo was made, and the session was over. Lee returned to the house, and Marina returned to her wash, puzzling over the odd incident. But did this actually happen? Oswald claimed he had never seen the pictures before. Marina has been unclear about the incident from the beginning and could not identify the camera early on. Today, she says she did take 3 photos, but a 4th is known to have existed. It's all very strange, Craig.
Strange indeed. Now remember, Oswald himself told police that the picture was a fake, and Captain Fritz reported Oswald denied ever seeing that picture. And Oswald told Fritz that he understood photography very well and that in time he would be able to show that it was not his picture, that it had been made by somebody else. Of course, Lee Harvey Oswald never had the chance to prove his claim that that incriminating picture was a composite fake. He was shot and killed by Dallas nightclub owner Jack Ruby 2 days after the assassination in the basement of the Dallas police station while being escorted to a car handcuffed between 2 policemen. But while time ran out for Oswald, others have taken up the challenge. Over the years, Jack White and other assassination researchers have diligently studied the backyard photographs, and their findings are very shocking. We return now to Dan for a detailed account of Mr. White's research.
Craig, I'm here in the office of Jack White, a graphics expert in Fort Worth, Texas. Mr. White has studied the JFK assassination case since the day it happened, and as a photographic consultant, Jack presented some of his graphic analysis to the House Select Committee on Assassinations in the late 1970s. Mr. White, what got you interested in the assassination case?
Well, Dan, I've worked in graphic arts since graduating from TCU in 1949. At the time of the assassination, I was vice president and executive art director of the largest advertising agency in Fort Worth. I read Oswald's comments about the backyard photos and how they were fakes, and I decided to check it out for myself.
And what have you found from your studies?
Well, Dan, I obtained good quality prints of the backyard